Here we go. All right, very good.
Oh, and I did put this here with the date so that they could.
Oh, that's good. Oh, I'll take pictures.
All right. Good morning. It's Happy Cinco de Memory Bound Day. It's Wednesday.
Woohoo!
And Maggie's got her antennas on. That looks great. I love your shirt, Maggie. Be happy.
Thank you. Well, I like yours too.
Well,
Dawn.
you know what? Here, Joy.
There we go.
Turn it around.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Nice
You know
shirt.
that, except I have to have a jacket on.
And Kelly has one on
Kelly has
too.
one on too. Oh, you are so funny, Maggie.
That is so funny. I wasn't even thinking.
Did everybody enjoy that close-up of Maggie?
Oh, I bet that was kind of. Oh my gosh.
Oh my
Was it bad? Was it really close
No,
up?
but it was so funny. Oh my goodness, Maggie.
Oh well.
You cracked me up. Good morning. It's Wednesday. It's Cinco de Memory Bound Day.
I had my margarita early today.
Maggie started early. Oh my goodness. And look at what Maggie is sharing with us today. Oh my gosh, it's so awesome. I love her mixed media projects. I'm just going to show it up really close while everybody's jumping on. It's going to be a great day. Maggie always shares wonderful tips and techniques. And Maggie, you have taught me so much about coloring flowers, and I think it's even a week from Friday. You and I are back.
Yes.
To do a watercolor.
Yes, and I just saw that stuff last night, and I thought, oh my gosh, I've got to get working on those. I'm doing mushrooms and bugs.
Oh yes.
I'm doing mushrooms and bugs, and you're doing flowers
And butterflies.
and butterflies.
Yes. It's going to be.
In those cute little frames. Oh, what happened to the?
Did you have a frame up here?
I had the frames sitting right here. I will grab one because we've got plenty for next week.
Okay, and today, for those of you who haven't participated yet, we do have 20% off stencils. And okay, here's what Maggie and I will be working on a week from Friday's demo. Is going to involve these awesome frames from Prima and cute little.
You get 3 in a package, and they are fun to play with.
For $7.99. It's such a deal. Okay, so today's special is 20% off stencils and 20% off embossing folders. So we do have a tab on our online store for those two items, embossing folders and stencils. So go there, and everything should already have the 20% off on it. And that is part of our Be Creative National Scrapbook Week celebration. We're on day, what would this be? We're on day like
Saturday,
5.
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, yes.
Day 5 of our Be Creative Week for National Scrapbook Week. So thank you for traveling along with us. And we always enjoy you sticking with us and watching. Oh my goodness, my microphone's clear down here. Can anybody, it's terrible if my microphone's down on the floor and they can still hear me. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, Maggie, I think good morning, Idaho. Oh my goodness. Hi, Ann. Let's see, who else is watching? Judy, Mary, Jan, Sharon, Joni, thank you. Sarah, oh my gosh, Rhonda, Karen, cheers. Breakaritas, oh my goodness. That's cool, Breakaritas. Hi, Juanita, Jeannie. Well, thank you. I think we can go ahead and get started, Maggie.
Okay, first of all, do you want to just focus on this? I put the date and then everything that you will need to make this project. So if you want to take a screenshot of it, then you have that so that you know. But the date, then that way you'll know what day it's on YouTube or what day to look it up.
Please show your sign.
There's our
Thank
sign.
you, Jane. Jane is our biggest cheerleader. She's always telling us what to do to help us be better. And thank you, Jane. You're very good. You must have spilled honey on your mic. Oh my goodness. So yes, we're memory bound. Okay, but Maggie, you have kits available for
I
this
do.
project.
We have kits available, but just in case they want to know what they need to order, it helps to have that materials needed.
Okay, close up of name tag. Hi, gals. Okay, so here's Maggie's kit. This is what we're making today. This is her kit. Her kit is $21.99, and you can find that under kits at Memory Bound.
And all the pieces are already pre-cut there, so you don't have to get another die to cut the Bumblebee or anything, unless you want one, which I did.
Very good. Very good.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm not going to show you the whole thing start to finish. I'm just going to show you different parts of it to show how I did certain parts. And then that way that will help you learn some techniques, but also if you get the kit, get you through some maybe trouble spots.
Cool.
If you think there's any trouble spots, which there isn't. So the first thing I'm going to show you is how to prepare your background. And so basically this is just an 8x8 canvas, a Dick Blick canvas, and I think it's $3.99. So 8x8 is what I started out with, and then I used the line, the Tula and Norbert, is it Sweet as Honey? Is that what it's called? I don't see.
Yes, it's
Sweet as Honey. Okay, Sweet as Honey. And
Sorry,
so
I'm reading comments.
that's okay. So I used that paper line. It just, when I was putting it out on the shelf, it just spoke to me. I just love the deep yellows, and I don't know. I just love this line.
And the wood.
And the wood. So of course, this line came out with wood. Now the reason I'm using two pieces, in your kit you will get one 8x8 piece that will look like this. Well, I ran out of wood paper, and so I decided that I could use two. So it's not a problem. Once I glue this on here, you're not even going to know that it was two pieces. But in your kit, you will get an 8x8 piece.
And yes, the canvas is in the kit.
Yes.
And for those of you who are just tuning in, our shipping all week is $2.99. So if you want a kit and that's the only thing you want, or whatever, you could order tons, and the shipping is all week is $2.99.
So you have a photo, you have the step-by-step directions. This is that 8x8 piece that I was telling you about. These are all the watercolor. These have been cut out of watercolor paper. There's your flowers, your honeycomb, your bee, your letters are in there, this checkered piece, and you also get the brads that are right here. So all the pieces that you need are here. Okay, so the first part I wanted to show you is how I glue on the paper. So let's pretend like this is an 8x8 piece of paper. And I always use multimedia matte, just the matte kind, like this. And this paintbrush is, again, I think Teresa showed this. This is one of Tim Holtz's collage brushes. And he makes a big deal about how they are hollow inside, and it helps, there's a hollow area in there. But for putting matte medium and using it for paper collage, I love these brushes. So when you are putting this on, you don't want to put it like that. That's too thick. You want to put it on.
Hey, Kelly?
How many are there? And have some sold though?
Yes, I think we're down to 6.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so see how I'm putting this on, and you need to, and that's the reason I like this brush, is because it's wider and you can put on your matte medium pretty quickly, because if you take too much time, then you get dry spots, and that's how you get air bubbles. So about that thick. Can you see? Can you see that?
Yep.
And see how quickly that went on. So if you use a tiny brush, it just takes forever. And then just stick your paintbrush in water while you're doing other stuff. And so we're just going to lay this on here. And for those of you who who came late. The reason I'm using 2 pieces is this is what was left over from when I cut my 8x8.
She's being thrifty.
And then we're being thrifty, and also I ran out of this wood paper.
But more is coming. It's been on back order. I think it was so popular. The kit is $21.99, and is everything in the kit? All of these pieces are in the kit, but she also lists the things that you will need, like your craft mat, your multimedia mat, a paintbrush. So just general things. But all your paper, your die cuts, those types of things are in the kit. Splatter brush, you'll need water mister, liquid glue, and some distress inks.
Okay, so as I was pressing it out, I noticed the corner had gotten a little dry, so we just added some more. But see, I always take a paper towel and I use it to press out any air bubbles. But you can't tell now that that is 2 pieces, and it won't matter anyway because we
Not
cover
at all.
most of it. So here we go. And I just keep pressing it until I'm sure that I've got a really tight fit. And that's my background. And if you can do this, like in class, I would say, if you can do this, just take a tiny bit and add behind there, because you want it to be a really tight fit. Okay, so there we go. That's your first layer of background. Of course, we're all about layers. So we will, and my cord is a little short.
Do you dry yours like that?
Yeah.
Oh,
okay. And you don't have to. You can let it dry by itself, but this just
I just
speeds up.
start sanding while it's wet.
Well, I like to dry it a little bit because otherwise it tears. And tearing is okay sometimes, but I do like to dry it a little bit.
The brayer would be good to get rid of bubbles too. Absolutely. That's a great suggestion.
Okay, so once you have it pretty much dry, again, make sure you wipe off any excess stuff that's hanging over the edge. Okay, so there's your first layer. And then you're going to use, this is my favorite sanding tool because it does the job very quickly and it lasts forever. I've had this one forever and have used it on a lot of projects. It's by Foundations Decor. It's a whole $1.79, but it's worth every penny because it really works quickly. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take that sanding tool and see how I'm working away from it. I'm not doing this yet. I'm just working away from it. 2 reasons. It exposes the fibers along the edge, and then it also gets rid of that excess paper. You want to marry the paper to the canvas, so it looks like it's part of the canvas rather than just covering it. And if you have black pants on,
Yes, you will be a mess.
yes, but that's okay. It comes off. And another thing about sanding is if your paper, as you can see, I was a little bit crooked on here, but that's okay because it all looks good when you get it all sanded. I always go across the corners like that, and then that's when I kind of put my tool flat. But see, I like that look. And so you just kind of go across, and then you can lay it flat and get a little bit more of that white exposed. So it looks a little more just rustic. Can you see how that? And it looks like it's part of the canvas now. It doesn't look like, oh, you've got paper
Put
covering.
paper on it, yep.
Yep.
Looks good.
And again, cross the corners, flatten it like that. And that's where if your paper's a little bit wet, you might get some tears, but no worries because that looks good too. And then I kind of flatten out. Oops, there we go. That's a good one. Oh, there we go. There we go. Let's take it all the way off. Okay. All right, so now we have our paper married to our canvas. That's good. Okay, the next layer is I like to use dictionary pages, and this just was torn out of an old dictionary. This one had some pictures on the side, but I'm not going to worry about it too much because by the time we tear it, it will be fine. The paper that you get will be about 7 by 8. we want to tear it down to, I believe we tear it down to about 6 1/4 by 8. So I'm just going to tear off the white part on this side. And you don't have to be perfect, about like that. And I kind of want to get an idea that I have. Do you have a ruler handy?
Yes.
I want it to be about 6 1/4 by 7 1/4 is approximately. So we're going to probably tear off about 3/4 of an inch. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but I just to give you an idea of how much I tore off, I want it to be about 6 1/4. So see how we're going to tear off some of that picture anyway. This doesn't necessarily have to be a dictionary page. It could be out of a book, an old book. And some people have a hard time with tearing books and dictionaries apart. But you know what? It's better than throwing them away, right?
True. Absolutely. Repurpose.
And a lot of libraries will sell old books for like 50 cents, a buck. Okay, so it doesn't have to be perfect, just to get an idea, but I gave you the dimensions of about 6 1/4 by 7 1/4. And then, so let's just kind of look at that. That's about 6 1/4, and that's about 7 1/4. So that looks good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some frayed burlap.
My new favorite color.
Yeah, I like frayed burlap too. It's a little more gray brown. Has a little shade of green in there, but not much. But it's a little less dark.
You're using the oxide.
I'm using the oxide, and I'm going to tell you something. I've got oxides in some colors. I've got regular distress inks in some colors. I've got both in some colors. I kind of use what I have. So you can go back and forth between your oxides and your inks for this project. Okay, so I'm just going to start out, and I'm using this little brush, and I just want to add a little bit of...
The kit is out of stock. Yes, we just sold out.
We're making more today.
Oh, okay.
I can make a few more today.
Okay, so if you still want a kit that Maggie is demoing today, we're going to start a waiting list, and we can get more.
Okay, so now I've got the edges. See how that looks just a little old? And I'm just randomly going across there so it's not quite perfectly white in the middle. But what I like to do is I always like to use 2 different browns because it gives it a little bit of depth.
And you just used your same brush.
Yeah, just see how it went from just kind of boring to those little edges. So it doesn't matter. You can use walnut stain. You can use this one's ground espresso. The thing is, when I'm doing edges, I really like to use just the regular distress ink. For some reason, edging, I do like the regular over the oxide. But if that's all you have, that works too.
And yes, we are going to be making more kits. They are sold out, but we will be making more. So just give us a call or send us an email that you want on the list for
Go ahead and order. We'll
kit.
make more, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we will.
Okay, so my next thing is I'm going to add this, and I believe I'm going to look. I think I put it over here about like this, and I give you the dimensions in the directions. And so I'm going to use a little more matte medium, and my brush.
And Carol, please do just send us an email. Sometimes we can't always get back to the video to see comments. So do just send us an email, email@memorybound.com, or give us a call and let us know you want the Be Welcome kit, and we'll know what that means.
Okay, so when I'm doing this, usually if you're doing the canvas, you're going to put the glue right on the canvas. But now when you're working on individual papers, you're going to actually put it on the back of the paper because you're not sure where it's going to go yet. Notice how I'm not doing it all the way to the edge. I'm leaving just a little bit of edges. And the reason for that is, make sure your dictionary page right side up. Although,
That's important. You
sometimes that's okay. It's just background.
could turn it around.
Yep. Okay, so I'm just putting that on there. And the reason I didn't put the glue all the way to the edge
Because of that.
is because I want to do something that gives it a little bit more texture. Is you just, and you tear it little bits and just make it look like that. Especially on the top, I did
Make
that.
it look like it's been in the attic.
Yeah, see how that's kind of, it gives it some dimension.
And yes, you do get the dictionary page in the kit.
All the pieces are in there, except for the, your glues and stuff like that.
Your tools.
Your tools. Okay, so now we've got our dictionary page on there. Oops, I'm going to turn this around because otherwise it blows everywhere.
They're loving this, Maggie.
Good.
The dies that she used for the flower are the...
I have it right here. It's,
And they
I laid it out for a reason.
they are out of stock right now, the flowers, but we have loads coming because we are actually using them next week also. And they have been
I just had it.
ordered, and I know our rep at Sizzix
Oh, here it is.
is going to get them.
This
for
is the
us,
one
get
that
them
I
to
always
us.
used. I love that flower.
Yeah, and this is the wildflower stems #1. So there's all kinds of wildflower stems. I think there's 1, 2, and 3, and really any of them would work. And we do have some of those in stock. So go take a look under Sizzix and dyes. But the wildflower stems #1 is coming back in stock.
But like the top and the bottom and, the sides, I just do this a little bit and just kind of let it tear, just like that.
Looks great.
Okay, the next step is, I think I added the black piece, and the black piece is just a black piece of cardstock, and you do get this in your kit. And this one, I don't like to center things, so I put the dictionary page over here, the black's going over here. So again, we're going to just put the black, we're going to put the matte medium on the paper itself, because if you put it on here, you're not sure where it's going to go. So it's better to just do the back, get along the edges on this one. And so I give the dimensions on where to set this, but we're just going to kind of guess here.
It's looking good, Maggie.
Okay, so now we've got 3 layers of stuff, and then we're going to do this is the part, this is the paper that's also from the same line as this, the Tula and
Sweet as
Norbert.
honey.
Sweet as honey. And what I have done is I have taken a paper distressing tool, Dawn's favorite tool, and I have gone around and I've just done this. And there's little razor blades inside all of those. And you just rough up those edges. Two reasons. It distresses it, and it also exposes those fibers so that when you go to ink it, it just soaks it right in. And there again, if you're doing this and you tear it accidentally, that's all the better. If you don't happen to have one of these, we have them at the store, but you can use the edge of the scissors. This works a little better than the edge of a scissors, but if you're stuck and you don't have one of these, the edge of the scissors that you open up like this, and usually scissors have a serrated edge. I use the serrated edge and I just do that. But this does work better. And notice that you tie a ribbon, then you don't lose it.
Yes.
Okay, so now I'm going to take, I think I'll probably take frayed burlap just because it's not quite as dark. And I know you're not supposed to maybe
I
go
was
back
gonna
and
say,
forth.
now you're mixing between oxide and
I
dress
kind of do,
dressing.
and you're probably not supposed to. So don't do as I do. Do as I say. I just kind of, I don't know.
But you know what? That's what's great about mixed media is it doesn't have to be perfect. You have the freedom to do whatever you want. There's a lot of happy accidents in mixed media. So Maggie, I say do what works for you.
And you know what? I do have these all here ready, but this
No.
is what I do.
I
Okay, so once I've done the edges, I just take this little brush and I just go around it. You don't want to make this brown frame. You just want to make it look a little distressed.
It's already adding so much.
Yeah, and
So
I
much.
just, whatever's left on the thing, I just kind of randomly do that. Okay, so that's our next
And
step.
these are the best brushes. These are the, whoa, gosh, what do they call them? It's by Pink Fresh
yes.
blending brushes.
Mm-hmm. And that's, I think, the little one, right? Is that the
No,
little one or
no,
is that
that's
the
the
big
big
one? Okay, this also is the paper from Tula and Norbert's Sweet as Honey. See how that wood is back there? Okay, and so this one I did center right on the black. And when I was creating this, I didn't have the black behind it, and I put the yellow right on the dictionary page, and it just was kind of, it just looked a little dead. And then I thought, oh, let's try a little black.
And wowzer.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That's a wowzer, Maggie.
Yes.
I can see exactly.
Okay, so now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 layers on there, and the one
And we're still not done.
we are not done. But the thing is what I've learned is you never want to just make a background with some texture and then add things on top. You want to again merge your texture in from the back to the front. So that's why we're going to do now. I have this. Where is it?
Pam, you can use Mod Podge. What we have found with Mod Podge is Mod Podge has more water in it, so your paper gets more crinkly. The water is absorbed more into the paper, and you get more of a crinkled look, and that can be fine too. The multimedia mat is specifically for adhering paper to paper.
It's
so-
more artist quality.
Yeah, it's just a better quality. And
If you're having your kids do projects, give them the Mod Podge. Keep this stuff for yourself.
there you go. That's a great
Yeah,
way
it's
to
the difference
explain it.
between margarine and butter.
I
That's
love
what I
it.
always think.
I love it.
So we had this stencil. It's is that Wendy Vecchi's? Yeah. We had this one, so this was the one I used. I think we are out of stock on that.
But we have tons of
We have another honeycomb.
stencils.
That would
actually.
This one would work just as well. This one's a little smaller, but either one would work. And you know, Tim Holtz has a honeycomb, so look through your stash and see if you've got the Tim Holtz honeycomb. Okay, so this is the one I used, and so this is what I mean by merging your layers. So now we've got four different layers, but now we're going to add something that's going to kind of merge them. So we're going to use a palette knife, and what I like to do is I like to color my texture paste just a little bit so that it's not that stark white. So this is that smooshing technique that I tell you about in the directions. When I say smoosh, this is what I mean. Turn it upside down, press it onto your craft mat like that. Can't see it on there hardly, can you? Take, I think in my directions I say take about a tablespoon, and
Sounds like a recipe.
yeah, we're going to add just there. And then use your palette knife, and we do have some really nice palette knives here that Ranger put out. It's two different ones. I have a tendency to like my pointed one like this, but different people. Okay, so see how this is changing color? We don't want it brown. We don't want it brown, but we don't want it stark white. So this is a good color. I think in the directions I called it a light caramel color.
Because what she's doing is this. I just wanted everybody
Okay,
to
so
see that.
now we're going to take,
So let's show everybody what it is that you just mixed.
Oh.
The Distress Crackle
Yes,
texture paste.
yes.
Crackle.
and you're going to see the reason for the crackle. Can you get a really close up there and
Yep.
so they can see that crackle?
There's the crackle.
There's texture paste and then there's texture paste crackle. The texture paste crackle is you let it dry by itself. You cannot use your heat tool on it. But if you'll notice, you get this really fun crackles. You can get the same look without the crackles with just regular texture paste. But I like the crackle. Okay, so now I'm just going to take my palette knife, and you work from the back of your palette knife, and you don't need to worry about gluing this down or anything, because once you put that first swipe, it's pretty much there. So I don't worry about it being perfect, but I start up in a corner, but see how I'm not filling every single one in? And I like to come down one side longer than the other, so we're going to choose this one. But see, now we're bringing that texture into your layers. And again, I don't want it to be everything perfectly filled in, but let's just come down here a little bit, like that. And I don't go up against this edge because
Right.
you don't want a straight line, okay? Then you lift it straight up, scrape off your edges, and then again, I sometimes will come down a little lower on one side, just for fun. And then we're going to move it over here. And we'll come down on this side, but not as far.
Yes, the crackle paste is also what I used in the garden album, Lori. Thank you for asking. Yes, the crackle paste is good. I've learned from the best. Maggie, I've learned all of Maggie's techniques, or I'm trying to learn all of Maggie's techniques.
Okay, so now, as you can see, we have married, I'm going to use that word a lot. We have married all 4 layers together now. Even though
Right.
there's still 4 layers, they're now
I
become
love it
one.
already. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
It
and
looks
so
great.
if you can see by adding a little bit of color, and you can use that with any color you want, any color ink to color that.
And you use Distress ink, not the oxide, or did
I
you use
did.
the
It
oxide?
will not make any difference. You can
Okay.
use either one.
Okay.
I just happen to have the oxide and the frayed burlap. You can use any color or any ink, either one. Okay, clean up. And this, again, you do not dry. Just let it dry naturally, and that's when the cracks will start to form. The thicker you put it on, I like to put mine on kind of thin. The thicker you put it on, the deeper your cracks are going to be. But, okay, so does everybody see how?
Laura. Sorry.
Okay, does everybody see how that was done?
I love that, Maggie. Could you put her stencil in water, please?
Thank
so that it
you.
doesn't dry on her?
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to set that aside because it has to dry naturally. And you know, I'm looking at that and I can see I got a few air bubbles on there, but don't worry about it, it's going to be covered. But that's when
And
you want to
turn
press.
it up so we can see now, right side up. It looks awesome, Maggie.
And see, you've got your little, and you can always come back in here and do that a little bit more. That's going to be covered anyway. So, okay, so we're going to let that dry, and then we are going to go to our flowers. This is my favorite one of his. We're going to use this one, and we're also going to use this. I call it the Pussy Willow branch. All of these can be used interchangeably. This would even have been pretty. I don't know, I've just kind of always liked this daisy. The thing I like about the daisy is you can make it spring, you can make it summer, you can make it fall.
That is very true.
So that's
Very
what I like
versatile.
about that. So we're going to start with the flowers, and I've shown this technique before. I'm going to put this away so it doesn't dry out. You don't want to keep your brush or your matte medium open and out of water like that, because otherwise it'll get pretty hard. Okay, so this is my favorite
Lori
thing
says,
to
I
do.
bet Maggie was an awesome teacher. Yes, I bet she was.
Okay, this is my favorite thing to do, is to do, again, this smooshing technique. I'm going to clean that off just a little better. Okay, so I'm going to use just the regular Distress ink pumice stone. I don't think it would matter. You could use, if you've got it in oxide, it'll be fine too. I just happen to have it in the regular. So I'm going to do, again, what you'll see in those directions is that smoosh. So you're going to smoosh maybe 3, well, 3's good. And then you're going to, the first time we do our flowers, we're going to dilute it more than other times. So and the reason for that is you want just a very light background. You don't want it to be really dark. So I'm going to, I have to bend these flowers so that we're only doing the flower part. And we're just going to lay it in there like that. And see those puddles? Mm-hmm. Keep those puddles.
That's what you want.
That's what you want. I love the
really,
puddles.
you're just going down one time.
Uh-huh.
And that's the mistake I made. I pick it up and then I move it to another
And if
one.
you missed a spot, it's not going to hurt. But the thing is you want those puddles.
Right. I've learned that, Maggie. You can't pick it up and move it around because then it just all blends together and it doesn't look as good.
And like I said, if you feel like you missed a spot, it's okay to move it around a little bit, but you don't want to brush out those. I just love those puddles.
And what she's doing is, well, are you going to dry those? Or
Yes.
okay. So this is what she's making, is these flowers for the canvas. Gosh, that's pretty.
So this is pumice stone, and I like pumice stone because it's got just a little bit of brown, but a little bit of gray. So it's not that fall dark brown. But see how those puddles just kind of lay there and give you some shadows? And for these, that's all I do. I don't add any more. I leave the white where it's at. You know, there's white spots.
Thank you.
Thanks, Laura. And you could have just let them dry naturally too.
They are cut from watercolor cardstock, the flowers. And again, she's using Wildflowers stems #1. It's a Sizzix die. And you can go out to our tab, Sizzix and Dies, and you'll see some of the wildflower stems.
This is the watercolor paper I use. I love this stuff. Distress watercolor cardstock. You get like 10 sheets for $7.99, but it cuts a lot of flowers. I love that paper. Okay, so see how we just kind of left, and actually, if you have some of that white, that's even better. This is probably, I got a little bit too much covered. Okay, so those are done, except now what I did is I think I took some frayed burlap. And you know what? We'll smoosh again. This time I'm not going to hardly add any water at all. And I just took my finger and kind of did the centers.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
And if you know, you don't want it completely covered, it's okay to
Right.
have it because then it gets a little shadowing.
Heather, the kits are sold out, but just send us an email or give us a call and we'll get you added to the list. Maggie is going to make more. And see, there is the center of her flowers now. Gosh, Maggie.
But look at that. I mean, just by itself, that is
beautiful.
I love it. Okay, well, my sister is a true artist, so I always get her opinion. And she told me that it needed a little yellow. So, okay, Laura.
I think we have mentioned Maggie's sister Laura. Her entire family is creative. Her mom was a painter. Her sister is an artist for Deco. She designs wood. She's
Driftwood.
Driftwood. Do you say carver?
Yeah, she carves.
She carves. It's just amazing work. And what's the name of her business?
Whimsy Creations.
Whimsy Creations.
And she's got it online. She shows things on Facebook, and then she does shows.
Yeah, and she's, as we said, a licensed artist. And so Maggie it comes naturally to Maggie.
Okay, so Laura said it needed a little yellow, so I just did the same thing. I smooshed and just added that little yellow, and it just really did. And what was nice about it is I did it after the fact, and it kind of drew in that bumblebee and just gave it another layer of texture. Look at that. Isn't that cool?
Huh? Yes.
And that was fossilized amber. And again, it's oxide. It doesn't matter. Either one would work.
Christy says, oh my gosh, Maggie, I wish I didn't have to work and could watch your videos. I
Okay.
agree. I am learning so much.
All right, the next step is peeled paint. It's oxide. Doesn't matter if you have just the regular. That's fine too. This is smooshed onto my craft mat. I use that word smooshed a lot. And
It's a
then
good word.
this time I want it to be light, but I also don't want it quite as light as that. So we're not going to quite, and you know, this just comes from just playing, so you can figure out how much water you need to add. Okay, see how we're going to bend back that flower, and now we're going to do the stem and the leaf. And it's okay to leave a little bit with white. Don't worry about covering every square inch of that.
I think everyone wants to just spend the day making flowers.
Oh my gosh. And they're so pretty when you just make a whole bunch and put them together. There we go.
Beautiful, Maggie.
Okay, I think that's good. And then we're going to take this pussy willow branch and we're just going to finish. And if I had some tags here, I would just mop this up with a tag, because that's, can you show them that welcome? That tag was, I just used when I did the bumblebee, I just wiped up on that tag. Well, this is the negative of when I cut out the welcome. And so I made a tag out of it. So you really don't need to waste your ink that, like I'm going to be wiping this up.
They look like dry flowers. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Sharon, the flower set is wildflower stems number 1. Now there's, I believe, wildflower stems number 2 and number 3. And they all have flower stems just, you know, very similar to this. So just get a set that you like the flowers. Maggie really likes this one, but really any of them will do. If you like a flower better in another set, that's fine too. And this is the negative of the welcome that she cut out. Okay, they're asking, how do you get the center of the flower cracked? That's just from
I have not finished.
Oh, but wait, there's more.
Yeah, we're not finished yet. So bring back out this crackle. And I just took a fingerful. And I didn't put it on real thick because I didn't want to cover up that color that I had going. So this is too thick. See how I really didn't even cover the whole thing? I just wanted to add a little texture. And then once that dries, I'll go in with some ink to ink it brown again. It just gives it a little bit. See how it just now looks more real even? I can never get enough paper towels. Okay.
So with the kit is everything that you see to make it. You do need what Maggie has listed here, like a craft mat, the multimedia mat, paintbrush, palette knife sanding, tool, heat tool, just like some of your basics. But otherwise, everything is in the kit and cut, the pieces to make it.
Yeah, all these pieces are in there, including the honeycomb. Okay, so now we can't do a whole lot with that yet because we've got to let it dry. But I'm going to go back, and I am changing my ink pad here, and I'm going to do a little inking on these flowers. What I like to do sometimes is they're kind of connected together, so I sometimes will cut a few of them apart.
Carolyn's asking if you could put crackle in the center of the flower first.
You could have. You could have. Probably when I did it, I got that far and thought, oh, let's add some crackle. So either one.
It's kind of an
The
afterthought.
thing was, though, is I kind of like getting that on there because then it adds another layer. It gets more depth that way. Okay, so I cut apart a few of the petals.
The crackle texture paste should be online. If you type in crackle, it might come up, or just texture paste, it might come up also. The kit is $21.99, and they are sold out, but you can get on the waiting list by just sending us an email or giving us a phone call, and we'll get you added.
Okay, so once I've just cut these petals apart just a little bit because it helps to make them be able to pull them forward. I could have used frayed or pumice stone, but I wanted to add another layer of, again, depth. So by using a different brown, and I don't worry about getting every single edge done, just enough that it starts to look like it's got some shadowing, like that. Okay? Then the same thing with these green leaves. Any place that was left white, you're going to go in there and add some ink like that.
Gosh, Maggie.
And then you're going to just go around the edges a little bit and see how now it's a much more realistic looking green.
And it may not look it, but Maggie is being pretty delicate. I've been trying to make some of these at home, and you do have to be somewhat delicate.
Yeah, as long as you're holding right where you're inking, you can get right in there. But okay, so now see how I just love that look.
Yeah, that is a wowzer.
All right, now I wanted this to look different than the leaves, so when I did the pussy willow branch, I went over it and got it quite dark.
Laura says she needs this kit. Super cute. I have a retreat in Big Bear, Cali, and it would give me a project to do.
Oh,
How
I
fun.
love taking projects to
I want to go to Big Bear, California.
Look at that. And now see how that has kind of soaked up that ink. So there was a good reason why you put your ink down first. But you wouldn't even have to add anything. I just like how that looks.
It's amazing. And
Okay.
this one isn't quite dry yet. This one
Yeah.
here. But these
Oh,
are.
and I'm going to show
wow.
you another thing that makes your flowers look fun is we're going to just, this is Tim Holt's, his water mister, and you can do droplets instead of a mist. And so sometimes I'll just, if you squeeze very little, you can add droplets to it. And then it adds another little fun look.
Oh my gosh.
There. So it just kind of, the water reacts with it, and I just let it sit for just a little bit. Okay, so the flowers are done. And then let's do the bumblebee. Bumblebee is so fun. Okay, the one thing about this die set is, this was genius. This whole bug comes on one section. This whole bug, and I'm just going to show you. So when you're cutting, you don't have to go through and say, oh, which part goes with
which. Yeah.
Yes. So the one I used was the bumblebee. And look, see, you can just cut them all out at the same time. And so when I cut that out of watercolor paper, I knew I had all the pieces. So that's what I liked about that.
And those are called funky insects.
And Dawn and I are going to do a project with those next week, aren't we?
Next Friday.
Okay,
Friday.
so
A week from Friday.
you know what? I just realized when I did this honeycomb, and that is that die, great die.
It's Creative Expressions, and it is called, what is this one called? Oh, Rustic Honeycomb. There it is. Rustic Honeycomb, and it is $19.99, and it's a Creative Expressions Rustic Honeycomb.
It punches out about a 4x6 piece, and as you can see, they're kind of distressed. They're not really perfect. But what I wanted, I didn't want a square, so this is what I did. Is I started on the left-hand corner, and this is by mistake. I started on that corner. That didn't work. So you got to start on the left-hand corner, and I just cut apart this in a diagonal way, and I kind of went back and forth so they weren't all the same. I cut on this side and then I cut on that side, and pretty soon I had a triangle. this is the triangle, and what's nice about it is then you can flip it over and so you get 2 out of there.
Okay.
But what I did then was I just tore a piece because I needed it for somewhere else.
Oh my gosh.
And you know what? This is kind of too perfect, so I might have done this. Maybe cut out a piece so it's not this perfect triangle. And this side, again, I think I did that too. So I tore.
So that is over here.
Yeah, so yours won't be torn. Yours will be in a triangle, but it won't be torn. So you can do that. See how much more interesting that is?
Absolutely.
So, okay, so I just realized, well, we'll do that part. Let's do the bee first. Okay, so then I had some black soot. Again, it doesn't really matter if it's oxide or not oxide.
Or distress.
Distress. Okay, so now this one, we just want jet black. So we have to be careful of his little antennas. We're just going to make him jet black. Black soot is one of those inks that you gotta have. And especially around Halloween, but I use it all year long. Okay, so now we have that, and what I like to do then is kind of go in on the sides in case there's a little white showing. So there's your black part. Are there any water bubblets? See that look? Mm-hmm. That's what happens when you mist it like that. I like that look. Just gives it a little more watercolory look.
Yep.
Okay, so now we're going to do another one of my very favorite colors is fossilized amber. And so we're going to use fossilized amber. Now, if you don't have fossilized amber and you have mustard seed, that works really well too. So we're going to do his wings and his body. We're going to, what's that word?
Smush!
Smush! We're going to smush a little bit of fossilized amber. Mist it a little bit to dilute it. And then we're going to take, and when you get yours, you'll have to punch out these little holes because I probably didn't punch out every hole. Okay, we want this to be kind of dark, so I believe that when I did it, okay, there again, leave that puddling.
Yes, gosh, that looks good.
I think I went back in and did it maybe 2 layers. Okay, let's see what this one looks like. And what I like is when it puddles to one side because it gives you some shadowing.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll let that dry. And oh, isn't that just cool?
Yes.
Okay, so now we're going to go back to frayed burlap. And I could have done this. No, that was pumice stone, never mind. Okay, we're going to smoosh it, and we're going to smoosh kind of a big piece there. And I did not want my honeycomb to be really dark. I want it to be quite light, so I'm misting it quite a bit. And you're going to put this on your thing like this. So this is the side that you want to turn face down. And again, don't worry about every part being covered. See that white?
Wow.
I like that white.
Yes.
So don't worry about every.
And what color? That's frayed burlap?
Frayed burlap.
Wow. It looks a little gold. I love it.
You know what? That's one thing I have noticed about the oxides.
They change colors?
They change colors. They've got look at the layering of colors in here. Look at the gray and the reds. It's amazing. That's one thing I've noticed about the oxides
They bring out all the different colors.
they've got
used
some
to make 'em
layers.
up.
Yeah,
I like
they've
it.
got some layers. Okay, that one got even more so. But you know, if you don't want it completely white, you just go in later and just add a little so it's not
Pink,
white.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got these are little pieces that popped out of the honeycomb. There's a million of them. I gave you quite a few. In your kit, you got quite a few, but I only used 5. So if you'll notice here, I just took those 5, and you've got a lot. If you actually have the die, you have a lot. Okay, so just going to let those lay there, and I will go back in once they're dry. I'll go back in and ink them around the edges.
Gosh, Maggie, how do you do that? They're tiny.
They are, but just to speed up the
Wow.
And so there, again, don't worry about it being perfect. You can fix things. Okay, so now, okay, all right, this is an example of your oxide. Look at the different colors that are in there. I love that.
That's really pretty.
All right, I'm going to dry this really quick. And you know what, I'll just let it dry so I can, and I'll show you how I did the letters. There should be an M sitting here somewhere.
It's right here, Maggie.
Oh, there it is. Okay, I'm not going to do all the letters, but I'm going to show you. This paper is Tim Holtz's craft stock. You can get it in a tablet like this in all different colors. Or over there, Dawn, underneath the signs, we have packages of just all black.
And this is called the Blackout Craft Stock, $10.99 for 24 sheets.
And then I think there's another package too. Is that no, that's a different one.
That's
but
the
that's got
jewels.
black in it.
These are both black. Yep.
And what's nice about those is, see the back is craft core. So it's just coated with a layer of black. The actual paper is craft. And so what's cool about that is you can take your, so your letters are cut out of the craft core. So you have to be careful because these are fragile, and I'm going to show you the letters I used. One of my favorite alphabet sets. They're 2.5 inches tall. So you can get a really big look, but because they're so narrow, you can fit in a word like welcome without it taking up the whole canvas. But they really cut well. They're a very nice set of letters.
And it is called Alphanumeric Stretch Upper, and they're $29.99.
So your letters are cut out of craft core, and what I do is I lay it flat and I just hold it as close as I can to where I'm doing it, and I'm just using this, and I keep it flat. See how that's tearing off a little bit and exposing some of the core, craft core? You have to be very careful, but if you keep this flat, it helps. Okay, and that's about all I did. I just didn't want them to be a perfect black. And so you have the entire welcome, and that's all you have to do to get that.
And
Okay.
let's go back and look at the letters again, and you can see how they are worn and sanded. Awesome.
Okay, so basically, when this gets dry, you're just going to go in maybe with that black soot looks really good. Just a little, not even everywhere, but see where that white is? Maybe you could just kind of tone that white down a little bit. And you could use frayed burlap. You could use ground espresso. Anyway, what I do like to do is to take black soot then, and I went around the edges very little because I didn't want to take away that yellow look, but just enough to outline the edges like that. And I might have just kind of gone like that on those little holes, but not much. And the same way here. But look at the colors you get. That's supposed to be yellow, but
And
look
you
at
didn't
that.
even dry that. That was just natural
Yeah,
drying.
but I just went around just to outline the edges like that. And then I tried to kind of do that, but not much because I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to overpower that yellow, but it did. Okay, now here's the thing. Somebody asked, well, why don't you just cut your Bumblebee out of, this paper? Because you could cut the yellow and you could cut the black and it would be darling. But I just like the look of watercolor.
Absolutely.
So it's just how the color
Just
you
the
want.
look you want.
Yeah. And so,
And here's her Bumblebee.
and when I put this together, I just glue this onto here. And then I just put a tiny dab of glue there. That's the only part that I put the glue on. I never can remember which way that goes. It's this way.
Yeah.
Okay, and it goes right there, like that, and then I just pulled those forward. Okay, one last thing. These are all your components. Again, you can go in, once these are dry, you can go in and do the edges with some dark brown.
Holy cow,
Like that.
Maggie, you have more patience than me. could do
Okay,
that.
the next thing, the one last thing is I want to dry this body and this wing, because after I got it done, I thought, oh, what could I do to give it a little bit more, just something fun. So I dried it, and then I used Tim Holtz's Distress Embossing Glaze
In the antique linen?
in the antique linen, because that's what I had at home. I like the antique linen in the fact that it's almost clear. It gives a little bit of an antique look to it. But I discovered that we also have the fossilized amber, so that would work also. But the cool thing about Tim Holtz's glazes,
The Bumblebee is the funky insects. The funky insects from Sizzix. Sorry, let me just show that. Okay, thank you.
and I think I'm going to be using that
The
dragonfly
dragonfly?
on something.
Ooh.
Okay, somebody asked about, coloring it and then adding that, but you know what? I don't think I'd change that at all. I just
wouldn't
love it.
either.
I don't
It
think I'm
looks-
even going to ink over it.
Look at how she added in. They were wondering, well, could you have added the crackle paste before? But if you add it after, it sits on top and then absorbs the color of the center of the flowers.
Doesn't
and
that look like sunshine kind of?
it looks
on there?
amazing.
Okay, so what I did is I took the body and the wings, pressed it into some clear embossing ink, and it doesn't have to be this brand, it can be any clear embossing ink. And I didn't even have one of these pads at home, so I used one of these and took a paintbrush
Sure.
and painted it. But this is just liquid embossing ink.
Why wouldn't you have just used the dabber top on it?
I was afraid it would come out too thick, and
Okay.
this was such a small piece.
Okay.
So I opened it. Okay, so I'm pressing this, and then I'm going to press this. And again, I used the antique linen because I like how it gives it that antique look. You can put it over any color, but you could use the fossilized amber too. Okay, so now I'm going to take, the thing I like about Tim Holtz's embossing glaze is it's translucent. And I was teaching my granddaughter the difference between translucent and transparent the other day. I don't have a tweezer, so we're just going to pick it up. And translucent, you're still going to be able to see that inking on the other side.
Translucent is see-through.
See-through, but you can see other stuff through it, but it's not transparent.
And
There we
most
go.
other embossing powders are going to be opaque, meaning you can't see through them.
Yeah, and what I like is that you're going to see the coloring and the inking right through it. Okay, so now we're going to use our embossing tool,
Her heat tool.
heat tool. We've got that Bumblebee. And I just liked how it just gave it just another texture.
And while she's drying,
They might want to see how this turns though.
oh, okay, here it is.
Can they see it turning shiny?
Yep. Ooh,
Isn't that
looky
cool?
there. That is so awesome.
And I have let that cool and added another layer, and you can build up layers to make it even thicker looking. Okay, but see how you can still see all that texture underneath, but now it's thick and shiny.
It almost
Chase
gives
it around
the look that it's enamel.
Yeah, and you know what? If I had tweezers, which I don't, you're supposed to really hold it up in the air and heat set it up in
Yeah.
the air.
And here's what it looks like.
Okay, so then we're going to glue this on. But look at the difference, how it's just, oh my gosh. Just love it.
Beautiful. Beautiful, Maggie.
There. So I think I've shown you all the components. The only other thing I wanted to show you was this piece of this is another piece of paper from that line, and using your distress tool.
I threw it away.
You got rid of it. Using your distress tool, you're going to just distress the edges, just like we did before. Don't worry about, you can make little tears if you want to. Then ink it with, I think I inked it probably with frayed burlap, and maybe added just a little bit of dark brown. And then these, you get 3 of these in your kit. They actually come in a package like this. There's different sizes. I figured out that you can get enough larger brads like this for 3 projects. But some of them have that's the regular screwdriver, some of them have the Phillips.
Fun.
And so basically all I did was pull out the prongs, actually you can use Tim Holtz snips, but if you don't want to ruin
I wouldn't want to ruin
things.
my scissors.
I've used them for all kinds of wire and it's never ruined them, but you can use snips and snip that off. And then what I did is filled it full of glue, liquid glue.
How's it going?
Good. So cut those off.
And those are screw brads by Eyelet Outlet. They're $3.29, and you get let's see, how many brads? 20 brads.
So then I just took some liquid glue, filled up the back. Whoa, and then I lost it.
There it went.
And just, I don't know if I'm going to find it.
It's on the floor.
Yeah,
We'll find
and
it.
so then I just glued them in 3 different places, and that's what is on there. And that provides a look where it's not just floating on your project. It looks like it's been nailed down, screwed down.
I love it.
So those are all the components. Oh, the one last thing I wanted to show you is I did ink. Let's go back to our...
The paper collection is Sweet as Honey from Photoplay, and it some of it is coming in, some of it is still on back order, but just let us know what you want. We'll write you in the book, or we'll certainly be announcing when it all comes back in stock.
Can they see the cracks now? See how that's only been, what,
Yes.
45 minutes?
Yes.
And all those cracks. And once you can feel that it's dry, what we're going to do is then you go in and again start at the top, and you're not wanting to ink the paper behind it. All you want to do is give it a little bit of shadowing so it's not all the same.
So you're just going one direction.
Yeah, and that adds a little shadowing. And then what you want to do is go around and do all your edges. And I lots of times will come up and do a little darker on the bottom. But you're going to go all the way around and do your edging. And then the final thing is to frame it. And I went with black soot.
I think there's one more final thing. Splattering.
Oh, yes. Okay. All right. Thank you. That was another thing we added right at the last. Okay. I'm going to show you the difference between if you take that black soot, and because we've got black going on here, take a look at how much richer this looks than this. Mm-hmm. See how it's, now you've got it framed.
Huge difference.
It makes a huge difference. So you finish off black all the way around and go across your corners a little bit, and it just frames it.
That makes a difference.
It does make a huge difference. Last thing then is splattering. Oh my gosh. All right. And I even had the paint ready for it. Okay, so I had some paint just put out here. I didn't have a creamy white, so I took some white and added just a little tiny bit of brown. But we have dilutions. We have this white, and the white will be fine. I don't know, I just toned it down just a little bit with a little bit of brown because that's what I was working with at home. So I'm just going to wet it down a little bit. And what I like to use is Tim Holtz's splatter brush. We have those right here. And it works perfect because these are, what would you call this? Plastic.
Yeah, it's a
bristles.
hard bristle.
Yeah, it's hard to find a
I'm going to step back
Step
here
back.
because
We
I'm
don't
wearing
want-
black today. I don't want to be
Okay,
polka-dotted.
so I have way too much paint here. But you just dip that in. And again, if your paint's kind of thick, which mine was, I misted it a little bit to get it a little thinner. Practice this on a grocery sack first until you get what you want. But this is funny because I see people do this, and I tend to think that I only use the white on a winter scene. And then Dawn splattered hers the other day, and I go, oh, I knew I liked that white. So when I was all done, I splattered it, and I love it. It just gave a light to it. So you just get that on there, and you take your finger like this, and you splatter like that. And that's all it takes. And it just brings it to life.
Let's see if I can get up closer.
And you see that?
Yeah, it looks great.
And if you want them thicker, I don't personally like them any thicker, but if you want them thicker, then leave your paint a little thicker. And
Back it up.
see,
Back it up, Terry.
You
Back
can-
it up.
there you
Back
go.
it up.
so you can do that too, and that's a different look too. It's just what you like.
It looks great. And then here's Maggie's finish project with the paint splatter. I love it, Maggie. Wow, 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 wow. Maggie, your hands. Maggie's been working today. Look at that.
This is how they look.
Maggie, this
But-
was an amazing, amazing project. You are getting tons and tons of hearts.
Well, good.
Everybody loves this. It's an awesome project.
I hope that learning a few of these techniques make that kit look a little easier, because sometimes if you just see it done, it just helps.
Well, and all of these techniques that you taught us today, if you don't want home decor and you're a card maker, do them on cards.
Yes.
It's so easy to do her flower techniques and put them on card fronts.
What I wanted to show you too is I left a little bit of that honeycomb and the stems sticking down underneath there. So don't think you have to
Hide it all.
hide it all. Yeah, but look at that bee. Oh, one more thing about putting it all together.
Okay.
You know how we married all those layers with the texture paste?
Yes.
Well, when you go to design your elements, notice how these flowers aren't all separate. They're overlapping. Notice how this flower overlaps that letter.
Okay.
A lot of people think, oh, I don't want to cover up anything. Well, you do, because it connects. It makes a connection. Notice how these letters are going over the top of the honeycomb. Notice how when you put the bumblebee, his little bit of his legs and body are overlapping here. So when you go to put things together, try not to make them all separate. And there's those little things. Remember that we colored?
Yes.
We just added
Thank you
them.
for pointing them out.
Yeah. So that's the thing, and that's the one thing about splattering is it connects too. It just kind of makes things all come together. So don't think that every single element has to be separate. You want those layers.
Iwona wants to know if you could use wood instead of canvas.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this could be done on a piece of wood. In fact, we've got some wood, those wood frame panels, yes.
Yeah, they're
and that would be perfect. And you could also do that on a canvas, a stretched canvas, which I like the stretched canvas because you get the sides. And then what you do is then you take a little bit of this and come around to your sides.
Oh, yes.
Then it marries the sides to the front. But you could do that on a piece of wood. So cool.
Well, Maggie,
Yeah.
thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. I hope it didn't take too long.
It's amazing. I think everybody will be going back and watching this demo, especially the ones that are getting the kits. They're going to want to look at the demo,
Yeah.
watch the demo again. So we'll be posting that.
And even if you don't get the kits, just go and make 25 flowers, all different colors.
Yes. And then just add them onto your cards.
Yes.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes.
Yeah, they're so fun. Or put them in your garden journals.
Yes, there you go.
All right. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
We'll be back tomorrow. Katie is here tomorrow. And Bee Week continues. $2.99 shipping all week. We have 20% off embossing folders, 20% off stencils. And tomorrow is 20% off Copics. And Friday is 20% off dies. So we Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.